Hi everyone, I'm Kunal Singh, Head of Ad Sales. Welcome to the Fireside Chat. The topic of the discussion today is how to build a successful million customer business. Very few brands are actually able to achieve it in a short span. One such brand that we have with us today is Haus Kinder. Haus Kinder is a digital first brand, which is a design led brand more into home and baby essentials for the millennial moms. Joining me today is Saket, who is the founder of Haus Kinder. Welcome, Saket. So many milestones that you've achieved, but more importantly, I think it's only fair that you tell us something more about how did this journey really start about? How did this idea come to your mind? Why did you decide to get into this category?
The story of Haus Kinder goes back to my experience and my learnings. I got a very good understanding of fashion working with ITC. Post ITC, I switched to IMG Reliance, where I was heading fashion. I was heading Lakme Fashion Week. I worked very closely with the Indian designer ecosystem, and the idea with Haus Kinder is to use that learning and create a global lifestyle brand in the home category from India. To give you an idea of our scale, we are a 5-year-old brand. This year we will clock about 70 crores net sales, and we have a very, very ambitious target of touching 500 crore in the next 3 years.
Wow, 70 crores to 500 crores in 3 years. That's quite an inspirational number to go after.
Yes, Amazon is our biggest partner. So we hope and we trust that Amazon will be able to deliver this kind of ambitious growth target for us. So we believe that we are going to be a partner and deliver these kind of numbers in the next 3 years.
I'm really, really glad and privileged to know that we are one of your biggest partners. So you said you had two categories in mind. So can you take us a bit more into detail on how did you go about understanding who the customer is? What are the customer needs? How did you go about doing that research, and how did you arrive at that final list of products that this is exactly what I want to?
I did a lot of research on Amazon.com, on Amazon India. Ultimately, my summary of findings was that fashion in India was a cluttered market, and at that point of time there might be a challenge of achieving scale. On the home side, I could see that there were very few brands. There were a lot of customer facing issues, and I realized that if I'm able to use my learnings of fashion category in home, I can create a brand which is much more meaningful for Indian customers. And therefore, I saw a big opportunity on the home side. And therefore, Haus Kinder was designed to be a lifestyle brand from the home side. While I was developing Haus Kinder, I did read reviews on Amazon, and I saw that customers were not happy with the quality of the product. So I was able to shortlist 4 or 5 issues which customers were facing, which were largely around designs and cheating of customers on fabric, relevant pictures not being there, or brands not being honest in terms of quality. I thought customers can be educated much more. So those were the objectives I identified with, and I started Haus Kinder with. We first launched ourselves on Amazon. So I saw that everyone was putting just one picture. For example, we were the first brand to put 7 pictures for each bed sheet. We also felt that each bed sheet should be given a name. So for example, one bed sheet of Haus Kinder which became number 1 on Amazon is Victorian Summer Dream. So when you call it Victorian Summer Dream, it gives you a good idea of the design, of the mood, and of the season. We also mentioned the thread count and the fabric in the title. I think that way customers were able to realize that we are an honest brand, we are a fair brand, and that's what I think worked for us. Customers valued that, and that is visible in our ratings and reviews on Amazon.
Wow, that's quite a bit of research that goes into launching any new product. Going back to where we started off this conversation, which is very few brands are able to get to a stage where they have million customers customer base. How did you go about this entire acquiring of new customers, which is a day-on-day journey?
It's great to have 1 million customers on Amazon with us. So, if I were to tell you about our customer acquisition strategies, I think we do a lot of data mining on our existing categories. What are the gaps where we are not able to address consumer demand? So right now, in my customer acquisition strategy, we are going deeper in bed sheets. We are moving to fitted bed sheets. We are moving to premium bed sheets, for example. We are moving to adjacent categories like curtains, towels, cushions. And we are also exploring other marketplaces like Amazon US and Amazon UAE. Having said that, to deliver this kind of customer acquisition, I believe two strategies are very critical. First is delivering great ads to customers. I think ads is one tool with which you can really scale on Amazon. So we have really grown in terms of our ads footprint. We started with contextual search ads, and now, for example, we are using all the formats of ads possible. So ads is a great scaling tool that Amazon gives. And second, and I think the more important tool now for D2C brands like us is developing content. So for us, for Haus and Kinder to differentiate ourselves to our customers and to acquire them, it is very critical that we develop meaningful content which educates customers and differentiates us on design. So first thing is to get great content, and then to use your ad strategies across all formats in a very, very aggressive manner. I think in content, one starts with static as a format, but one needs to move to video as a format. It's very critical for you to scale up.
That's great. Getting the first million shoppers, it is quite indeed a feat. But what I observe is the beautiful mix of multiple products that you've used to achieve the first million customers or the shoppers. My next question to you is, if you were to give two bits of advice to any digital first brand in terms of how should they go about creating their own brand identity, what would that be?
Yes, I think before one starts creating beautiful product and beautiful content, it is very important to be clear with your brand identity and brand world. Okay, just to take example of Haus and Kinder's brand identity. For example, our positioning is mom's beautiful world. So we say to the mom, hey mom, it's your home, your baby, your celebration.
Would you like to talk about an addition to your entire brand world? You just got on a celebrity. Can you talk a bit more about the celebrity?
So once we had our mom's beautiful world and we defined our brand world, we were also looking for a celebrity to endorse and strengthen our relationship with the customer, because I believe a celebrity is a reason to believe for customers. And that's where I think Kalki fitted in very, very well. She seamlessly fits into our brand world, and therefore she has connected very well with the customers, and customers now recognize us as Kalki's brand. So I'm very happy with her performance for our brand.
Congratulations. The way I see this is you started off with basic performance marketing on Amazon, moved to different platforms, moved between formats from a static to a video format, and then you also signed on a celebrity, right? Given a lot of things that are happening, what are the key metrics to track so that you at least know if you're headed in the right direction? What are the key metrics and measures that you indeed go tracking?
I think I still believe that we are a small brand. On brand on Amazon, for example, I do track ranking of my branded keyword Haus and Kinder bedsheet, for example. Right now it's number 20th in the bedsheet category, and it's in terms of branded keywords, it's on number 2 after the Bombay dyeing keyword. So I'm very happy with our performance on Amazon.
That's very good to hear, and I'm so happy that we have been able to have a small part in your grand journey. So thank you very much. Whenever I talk to you about Amazon or about your business, I constantly see that you are very, very passionate about Amazon ads. And what I also then figured out that you actually manage the entire part yourself. Given that you are so closely involved, then how in your entire journey, starting from 2018 onwards, how have these different ad products played a part in your entire growth journey?
I believe that before you sit on the ad panel, what is very critical for you is to understand your gross margins, because they define how much aggressive you can be on advertising. I think four metrics play a very critical role, and those are 4 C's. If you need to understand those 4 C's before you start with Amazon ads. One is your CTR, which tells you about how impactful your creatives are. Your CPC, for example, a CPC I think is very critical. How cheap you are getting a click. If you are not getting a click, your ads will not work. And how cheap you are getting. So CPC is very critical for me. CPC defines your discipline. CVR is conversion, which is how powerful your offer is. Your ads will only work if your offer is powerful. So you need to track your conversions. And the last is CPM, like what is the rate or the market in which you are advertising. So if you understand these 4 metrics, I think Amazon ads would be much more easier for you. Post these 4 metrics, I think it is very critical to define tech costs and ACOS for your category. By tech costs, I mean your aggression. It depends on your gross margins. It depends on your what you want as a share of voice in that category. It depends on the competition intensity that exists in that category. By ACOS, I mean efficiency, how optimized your ads are. ACOS needs to be measured in real terms for incremental sales. So if you're very clear about your tech costs, ACOS, the last thing that comes to my mind is understanding your category. How is the search volume? Is it a branded category or is it generic keywords?
Oh, that would, I'm sure, definitely mean lot of dive deep and trying to understand what the gaps are. What are those couple of places where you have gone to get those insights? Can you just talk about that, about those tools where you go to for getting your insights in place?
So as far as tracking our performance on Amazon, I think we do track our sessions, our conversions, our tech costs and ACOS on almost a weekly basis. Very, very critical for us that our sessions grow, our conversion is up to the mark, and our tech costs and ACOS are hitting the targets. This is what I track on a weekly basis. We also believe that a store plays a very critical role, especially for a lifestyle brand like us, where you have a wide assortment of products, and we believe that store contributes a lot to our brand turnover. So we also monitor our spends on sponsored brand. We also monitor cost per click for getting a person to our store. We monitor number of visitors to our store, the conversion of our store, and the sales per visitor for our store. Amazon Pie is a brilliant tool, which I use myself every month. And I think if you correlate your Amazon Pie data with your tech costs and ACOS, you get a very good understanding of how your brand is performing. So as far as Amazon Pie is concerned, I do track, for example, the ranking of my keywords, my ranking in glance views, my share of organic views vis-a-vis advertising views, my share of voice vis-a-vis competitors.
Excellent. That is a lot of insights, and it comes only with deep experience. I'm so glad to hear about your journey. It was a pleasure talking to you as we went along. I'm sure everyone in the audience had something or the other to take away. The commitment that we can have from our side is that we will be by your side, helping you achieve your vision, and that's what we are here for. So thank you so much, Saket. Thank you so much for making it here.
Thank
along
you
with
very
us.
much for having me here.